Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's Monday, and therefore it's Beyond the Headlines. So welcome to the June 1st edition of our program. And as we start every evening, thank you so very much for sharing your Monday evening with us. Whether you're viewing on GBN Television, listening on GBN Radio, or logged on to any of our social media platforms, it's an absolute pleasure having you here with us. And this evening is a homecoming of sorts. We have with us the Ambassador for Diaspora Affairs, Ambassador Terence Forrester. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening.
And the head of the Secretariat to make sure everything runs perfectly, I wouldn't say smoothly, we have Mrs. Gail Purcell. Gail, welcome to Beyond the Headlines.
Thank you, Colin. Thanks for having us.
All right. And while I know we have all sat together before, I believe this is your first appearance with me on Beyond the Headlines for each of you. So a special welcome to both of you.
Well, thank you very much, although mentally I felt that I've been here many times.
Well, we have sat together other places, that I know. And Gail will tell you she's probably responsible for me having this seat. But we'll do that off camera.
That's another conversation.
As a sidebar.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. But, you know, welcome to you both. And Terry, if I can, just kicking off with you as Ambassador for Diaspora Affairs, and I know that we have now set up, and have for some time, an Office of Diaspora Affairs. If you can share with us, what is the primary focus of the Office of Diaspora Affairs?
Right. Well, thank you very much, Colin, and let me say a very pleasant good evening to all our Grenadian citizens, Grenada, Carriacou, Petite Martinique, and to all those living throughout the diaspora, including there are some Grenadians in places in the world that you would not want to be there, like Alaska. But nonetheless, a pleasant good evening to everyone. Let me just say that Diaspora Homecoming, sorry, not Diaspora Homecoming, but the Office of Diaspora Affairs has been a vision of Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell since during the campaign. He pledged to the Grenadian masses that one of his primary focuses is to unite the Grenadian people towards a common cause, which is a transformational government. And therefore, it's all about getting our people in tune and in alignment with one focus. So therefore, having won the elections in 2022, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell moved quickly towards establishing the Office of Diaspora Affairs. That is not to say that there was not one before. The fact is, it was, let's just say, dormant. And with the vision of the government, and the vision particularly of Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell to focus and to reunite the Grenadian people locally and those in the diaspora office therefore became alive. Okay. And I have been asked to, lead as the ambassador and essentially to engage Grenadians no matter where they are throughout the world and to let them know what the thoughts of the Grenadian government. The whole idea is to engage in Grenadians and to say to them, return home with your skills, your talent, your knowledge, your expertise, come back home for a period which has been designated and approved by the government of Grenada to celebrate our culture, our heritage, our traditions, and to participate in economic opportunities to give back to the nation, so to speak.
Well, we'll get into the office. Yeah, yes. We'll get into the homecoming. If I can just focus, because you mentioned that the things went quiet, because we know that there was a policy paper on the diaspora engagement that was developed with external agencies, and that was published in 2020. Yes. And 2020 we know was COVID, so there was a shutdown. So I mean, it is understandable that things went a little quiet. But for us to deliver on things, we need to have the right people, both in terms of number and quality. So who is your support staff? We know Ambassador Forrester. What's the number in terms of your support staff? and where are they distributed?
All right. Well, the Office of Diaspora Affairs falls under the auspices of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development, which is led by the Honorable Joseph Handel and ably supported by Permanent Secretary Roxy McLeish Hutchinson and the entire staff of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development. My office itself is a very small one, small number of persons, but I do have the support of the entire ministry and other ministries, because diaspora affairs hinges on just about every department, every ministry that you can think about. It hinges on that. So I get support from just about every ministry if called upon, and the support is always there.
And that would be inclusive of the embassies, I would imagine.
Of course, all our overseas embassies. So all of these entities, you can say, collaborate with the Office of Diaspora Affairs. Okay. And we have monthly sessions and so forth with our overseas offices so that we can bring them up to speed and they can bring us up to speed as to what opportunities are out there for Grenada. And there's a good collaborative arrangement taking place. They are working really hard out there to bring benefits to Grenada and sourcing opportunities and sourcing events for government officials to attend so as to maximize Grenada's benefit and opportunity.
You know, I heard a former Minister of Foreign Affairs bemoaning the fact that they work hard, they make the engagements with overseas governments, etc. They sign on to deals, but when the ribbon is cut, it's never them, because it's implemented through a Ministry of Works, the Ministry of Education. Someone else does it in terms of on the ground, but they're the ones on the outside getting it, making it happen, and bridging those relationships.
Yeah, well, this is how foreign affairs works in just about every country, every government. It lays the egg, but then passes that egg on to other ministries for implementation. So a lot of contacts, a lot of interaction, a lot of signing of deals, making sure that things happen to the point to say, well, okay, it is to the point where now it has to be delivered, to be passed on to another ministry so that it can be implemented. Be it agriculture, be it finance, be it health, be it whichever one. So that's where the interconnection takes place.
And the need to be collaborative in that regard.
Absolutely. And we are pleased to have our dear Minister, Honorable Joseph Handel, and his PS Roxy Hutchinson, who are doing a great job executing on a daily basis to make sure that things happen.
Gail, if we are to define Grenada's diaspora, or at least give us some of the primary geographic locations, I hope it's only one Grenada in Alaska.
Not many more.
But, you know, as we define the diaspora, how would we define it?
Well, I think Ambassador said it well, meaning that we have Grenadians everywhere, including Alaska. Obviously, there are primary areas that are focus of concentration, and we have our U.S. market where we're looking at Florida, Atlanta, New York, even Texas, and these areas now are increasingly, particularly as we've had a number of students studying there as well.
In terms of the collaboration of the university there.
So that's within the U.S., but we've jumped past the region, because the region has an extensive diaspora that is living within Trinidad and other Caribbean islands that are very close by. We have the Canadian market that is there, a significant market, and that's spread beyond Toronto as a traditional market, and going into Montreal, and we're going further west into places like Calgary, Edmonton, British Columbia, and then let's not talk about the UK. So we have the UK market, and even within the UK you see that it sprouts out into parts of Europe, where we are getting people in the Asian market, people who've maybe gone to study and stayed and extended themselves, and further and deeper into Europe. And our diaspora also includes our brothers and sisters on the continent, as that is continuing to extend. And as we see interest within Grenada, that people themselves are kind of defining themselves as Grenadians. You know, Grenadians, because of the connection, the cultural connection. So I would certainly say that our diaspora is global. while we may have concentrations in particular areas, we're all over the world.
Okay. If we are to make a guess on numbers as we define, and either of you can answer that. I remember Consul General Jenny Gums back in the day, just speaking of the Canadian market, saying there were about 65,000 Grenadians or people of Grenadian descent in Canada. 45,000 of that 65,000 was in Ontario alone. But if we are to define it, I mean, I think our inclination would be that there are more Grenadians outside than in.
Yes.
But what number would we come up with?
Well, let's just say in 1983 there was just over 20,000 Grenadians in the UK. And of course, that I think the number today is closer to 80 or 90,000.
Right.
So if you extrapolate those figures and you take New York, where you have a big concentration, Toronto and so forth, I think we have easy 500,000 Grenadians living abroad.
Okay. Okay.
And not even counting the second and third generation Grenadians.
Right. You mentioned the importance, Terry, of the engagement with the diaspora to the administration led by Prime Minister. And in documents I've seen a reference to the diaspora as the 16th constituency. What are your thoughts on this characterization?
It's certainly not a green donkey. But let me just say that this is indeed, our diaspora is global. Grenada, its borders basically is global because its citizens are global. And we are extending an invitation to our global family living abroad to come back home, to invest, to look at opportunities, to celebrate. But the fact is, our citizens abroad, they have developed so much skills and talent and knowledge over the years, over the decades. They have gone through all sorts of challenges, and the resilience that they have out there is great for Grenada to have that opportunity to share. So the invitation is for them to come back and share these skills and knowledge and opportunities.
And how do you define, because, okay, let's just go diaspora engagement, because there are about 6 pillars, we can call them, based on the policy document for engaging with the diaspora. And there's a definition of diaspora engagement itself. How do you see the Office of Diaspora Affairs, Grenada, engaging with the diaspora?
Well, the Office of Diaspora Affairs, that's its main focus. Whether if you want to call them the 16th constituency or not, they are Grenadians living abroad. And before I go into the full response of your question, we want to take this opportunity to encourage our people to be welcoming to their brothers and sisters, the family, rather than indicating names on them. And that has occurred in the past. It is less and less, and we hope that this would eradicate itself. But the fact of the matter is that our citizens abroad, they provide a great opportunity for us in Grenada. They are engaging, and my office is engaging them on a regular basis, whether if they're looking at concessions.
Well, yeah, just if you could just speak to how have you gone about engaging this 100,000 plus Grenadians in New York,
well, there's
the 80,000+ in London. How have you gone about that engagement?
Right. The engagement has been, I personally have had several visits to Grenadians and so forth throughout, from Dubai to London to New York to Toronto, etc. And we established communication, emails, telephone calls, WhatsApp, etc. And you do get a flood. And also to our overseas offices, they do engage our Grenadian citizens no matter where they are. And coming out of that engagement with, be it our High Commission, be it our embassies, our Consul General offices, etc., Grenadians will navigate themselves to these offices and share their concerns or if they want information. These offices in turn now will transfer these requests to the Office of Diaspora Affairs or to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs so that we can deal with whatever concerns they may have. A lot of the concerns are, what are we going to get if we're returning home? What are the concessions like, and so forth? And other concerns, issues regarding customs, construction, planning. They submitted their drawings a long time ago. They can't get a response. You know, these kind of concerns that they would raise. You would get one or two concerns regarding banking, not many, but the main thing is concessions. And
let me be devil's advocate here. All of the things you listed is what can they get.
Yeah.
What are the phone calls of what they would like to bring to us?
Well, they generally would indicate that, you know, they make the contribution by way of sending barrels, boxes to friends and family, etc. They invest their monies in Grenada. They have skills, they have talent, and when would Grenada invite them to really participate? And the message is, this is the vision of this new administration of the Honorable Deacon Mitchell in engaging Grenadians in the diaspora who have skills, talent, and they want to give back to the nation. They want to share their skills. They want to be part of the transformation agenda. And essentially, this is why we are embracing Grenadians now more than ever before. And this is particularly why Diaspora Homecoming, which has been a landmark decision by the government of Grenada, and I would dare say a personal vision of Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, to engage our diaspora citizens in a meaningful way, make them feel part and parcel and responsibility to the development process in Grenada. And our local Grenadian folks in Grenada, Carriacou, Petite Martinique, they too are part of that developmental process. And our citizens abroad altogether must feel that sense of responsibility in engaging the government, in ensuring that the agenda set by the administration is accomplished in the interests of Grenada and Grenadians.
Okay. Gail, as we look towards homecoming, and I'm going to stick on the theme of engagement, how has the Secretariat or the role the Secretariat has played to drum up the numbers?
Yeah.
You know, this is not field of dreams, build it and they'll come. So if you're going to work to be delivering something on island, you'll want to make sure that you do have a good, strong audience. What has the work been like in that direction?
There's been a lot of legwork conducted, I think, particularly before I even came on stream with Ambassador Forrester and ably supported by the Grenada Tourism Authority. Because the chairman of GTA, Randall Donald, is the deputy chair for this committee. So they have been working. I think one of the things Ambassador Forrester didn't mention is the number of town halls that have been hosted, particularly virtual ones, with the diaspora community to educate them, advise them, and also hear from them what an event like this would mean for them. What is the intention? What's the purpose? How do we get them here? And that has drummed up quite a bit of interest, because we've had town halls online for people in Canada. They've been physically in the UK. They had town halls also in the UK and in the US. So that has been a vehicle that has allowed for the initial engagement to start when the idea was conceptualized and started to materialize into a plan. And in addition to that, it has meant physically meeting people, going out there, seeing them, speaking to them, getting an interest, because the interest, I think, has always been there to have a meaningful discussion about what the diaspora can do in Grenada. Right. How can they contribute? And I think it's beyond the remittance. I think we've moved beyond that. The remittance and barrel, you know, that's almost some condescending. Yeah, right. At this stage, the diaspora, they're completely engaged in what is happening in Grenada. People will tell you that somebody in New York could tell you faster what's happened in Grand Anse today than you who's traversing the road up and down on a daily basis. That's a fact. You know, and that's speaks to the level of interest that is out there outside of the physical border of Grenada, because they have a commitment, they have a drive, they have a love, and I think a yearning to be in the country.
Sometimes we find when people are removed from the island, the level of patriotism seems to increase. It skyrockets.
Yes. It increases. Everybody has a flag in their car, everybody has a bumper sticker on the back, and the hat on their head, and everywhere they go. It's a badge of honor, and I think that's a wonderful thing. I think that's what we want. That is the ultimate marketing tool that we don't pay for.
Right.
Because once they carry that with pride and they express the beauty of their country and all of the wonderful things about the country, you can't pay for that type of marketing. Right. But I think this is an opportunity for us to come together and hone in on the talent that we have exported, because we have lots of talent out there. We talk about skill shortages here, but they exist. They exist, and I think people just want to know that they have opportunities when they come home, that they can contribute in a meaningful way.
I notice that it is planned for ending of June, July, when the majority of the homecoming takes place around the second week of August.
Yes.
Was that deliberate? What was the thinking there?
Yeah, it was deliberate, and I think for most people, the first question was, why y'all doing that now? The carnival is just down the road. Well, the reality is Carnival is almost sold out, if it's not completely sold out.
Right.
So it takes away the opportunity. And I think when people come for Carnival, they come for Carnival. It's a completely different mindset and purpose. They come to enjoy themselves, they come to have a good time, and why not? It's Carnival. The reality is that this period now, which it's quote unquote the low season, it's an opportune time to inject into the economy to ensure that we have hotel rooms that are filled, taxi operators getting businesses, restaurants getting businesses, and because it's an economic flow that's coming back in. So that's part of it. And also the availability of rooms is better at the most reasonable price at this time of the year. So if people are planning to come back and they're planning for holiday and they're planning maybe not to stay at home with family, but they want to it's partly vacation for them, so they may want to stay in a hotel. It's an opportunity for them to get rooms at a reasonable rate, and availability is higher. And flights in particular are at a particularly better price now than...
I noticed you didn't say reasonable.
better price at this time of the year than they will be certainly for the end of July into August. So I think there are multiple reasons why it supports this timing. It's on the cusp of people finishing the school term if they have children, and being a little bit more flexible. And certainly I think it's a start of something.
Right.
And we have things that happen throughout the year, and we can't and shouldn't concentrate everything at one time of the year. And I think we've seen over the years also that sometimes people try to tag everything onto Carnival, and it doesn't necessarily succeed in the way they envisioned it, because they think everybody's here. Everybody's here, but they're here for one purpose. They come to have a good time.
And this is business.
This is business.
And we want to signal that the importance of the event, the importance of the engagement and what it can mean nationally, and you don't want it to be distracted by elevated spirits.
That's right. Yeah, we want to focus. We want people to come, and they're coming for this purpose, because this is a purpose that deserves its own individual attention, and not a thing that we added on to something else and we kind of just stuck it in and say, well, let me do something because you're here.
Right.
You know, it has a particular reason.
What has the success been like? So if we're looking, we're about a month out.
Yeah.
And what are the numbers looking like? And from where primarily in registrations? Because I know registration has started and it's ongoing until the 20-something of the month.
Well, it's ongoing. If you want to show up on the day before we're going to welcome you.
Right.
But people have been registering, and we've seen it increasing. Right now we have, I think, just about 600 people registered, and that's a combination of local and outside of Grenada.
Right.
So because also, there is a local participation that's required as well, because it's a dialogue,
yes.
right? It's an engagement. It's not just about the diaspora alone being here.
Because if they come here to talk to themselves, right.
Who are they talking to? So we do expect them, and we do welcome local participation in the particularly in the forum,
right.
because that has information that is useful for both. And we have diaspora community who are here, meaning that they've returned, but they have not been here for an extended period of time. So they still see themselves as diaspora.
Right.
So so there's very much that community that's living on island, which will be engaged as part of the overall activities.
Terry, what I'm hearing here is one of integration, because Gail just pointed out a community of Grenadians who have already taken the step to move back. And I wouldn't want to say they have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but the integration into Grenadian society can sometimes be difficult. What has the office conceptualized to assist in that process?
Well, first of all, Colin, let me just add to what Gail has, shared here, that as the flag of Grenada flies over the city of St. George's, so too that flag flies in the hearts and minds of every Grenadian abroad. And once you say Grenada, Grenadians abroad come alive, and they would participate. Now, the Office of Diaspora Affairs is keen to integrate and is keen to collaborate with all citizens living in the diaspora who are looking at coming back, even those who are already here and wish to share information, wish to understand how they can better integrate into the society, would make contact. For example, I remember last year I met with a number of retired individuals who came from the UK, and they were wondering how they can collaborate with the Ministry of Health, because the majority of them were health providers in the UK, and how they can assist. They're not looking for a job. They just want to contribute their skills and their talent, and how they can do this. And Minister Telesford, he has warmly embraced the idea and is looking at a proper plan as to how that can be developed, how that can be properly embraced into the ministry, and how they can utilize the skills and talents of these individuals. Right. Well, now with Project Polaris coming on stream, then I would imagine more of these people will be engaged, because they're coming back with tremendous skills in the health sector. Several of them have worked in great departments in theaters as surgeons and that sort of thing. Grenadians have really developed themselves out in the diaspora.
And I know we'll go into the areas, because I know they're focal points. So when we go into the actual homecoming and the areas of discussion, but is it something that your office has given thought to, and reorientation, as it were, for Grenadians who are returning? Because I heard you quite clearly that as resident Grenadians, we ought not be calling our fellow citizens names because they are moving back. But where is the sensitization for the citizens who are returning, likewise, to be respectful, etc., when they return, recognizing the contributions of those who have been here?
Yes, of course, and that too is being taken into consideration. When we engage them, these kind of dialogue, comes up. And sometimes you have to politely remind them that you're not in the UK, or you're not in the US or in Canada. Things move a little bit slower in Grenada. So you have to understand, that you just click a finger and things happen.
Let me push back here a little bit. Is that true? In that it moves slower in Grenada? Because really and truly, public service is public service, whether you're in Grenada, you're in the UK, and otherwise. And sometimes, we always claim that the grass is green on the other side. It doesn't necessarily move faster.
Whether that is true or not, but that is being used as an excuse.
The attitude that it come in with, okay.
Yes.
Right. And we use the word differently. Things move differently.
Yes.
And I think we have to accept differences wherever you go in the world, because what is acceptable here may not be acceptable somewhere else, but you may go somewhere else and have a different experience and say, boy, if I was in Grenada, that would never happen. You know, so I think it's differences and understanding and appreciating there are differences, and there are reasons you chose these differences. You made a choice.
Right.
And I think there are positive things for those differences as well.
And it's a cost-benefit analysis, because we do give up something when we either return home or we travel away from home.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, we'll be back with this discussion, but viewers and listeners, it's time for a first break. So we'll take the first break and we continue our conversation on embracing diaspora and looking forward to the homecoming. We'll be back.
The Grenville Cooperative Credit Union introduces its new digital platform, managing your finances at any time from anywhere.
As a part-time student, balancing work and studies can be a real challenge. But with GCCU's digital app, these worries are no more. My parents can now remotely transfer funds to my account, and I can check my balance at any time, giving me the freedom to achieve my goals.
My days can be long and tedious. With this app, I can ensure my loan is paid on time, transfer funds to someone else's account, and check my balances. I don't have to rush to do business during my lunch hour or after work anymore.
With this app, I can request checks to pay my suppliers, letters for my business transactions. I don't have to leave my farm to go stand in line.
The Grenville Credit Union digital platform. It's convenient and secure banking right at your fingertips. Download the app today from the Play Store or App Store, or call 442-8602, 459-4325, or 416-8467 for further information.
Grenadians at home and abroad, the National Democratic Congress proudly invites you to the mega rally on Sunday, 21st of June. Under the theme, 4 years stronger, you, me, us. You, because we care. Me, because I have a responsibility. And us, because we all have a part to play in building Grenada. Bring your flags, bring your family, bring your yellow, and be a part of the 4-year celebration, transforming Grenada's future. Sunday, 21st of June at 5 p.m., Monrouge Plain Field comes alive. NDC Mega Rally. You, me, us.
When the man say that he blacking out, what you think it gets? Yellow fever. Yellow fever.
Are you longing to taste authentic, flavorful dishes from Thailand? Then look no further. Konthai, the newest restaurant located at the back of Galleria Mall top floor, is the place to satisfy your taste buds for Thai dishes that are seasoned with fresh local spices. They offer a great selection of sumptuous dishes that will tantalize your taste buds. Visit Konthai today because the food is good, the ambiance is great, and the staff friendly. Available on Carabites and Yogo Grenada. For more information, call 456-0074 or visit konthaigrenada.com or stop by the new Galleria Mall, Grand Anse St. George. I'll meet you there.
At Grenlick, we believe in the peace of mind that comes from preparation. Preparation is your first defense against natural disasters. First, create an emergency plan and ensure everyone knows it. Second, stock up on solar and battery-powered lights, chargers, and secure essentials. Install a transfer switch on your generator to prevent power from flowing onto Grenlick's lines. Third, wear safe. Trim trees that may fall and damage power lines. Preparation saves lives and property. Be ready. Grenlick, energizing our Grenada.
welcome back. We're engaged with the head, Ambassador Forrester of the Office of Diaspora Affairs and head of the Secretariat for the Diaspora Homecoming, Mrs. Gail Purcell. Gail, you mentioned it, and this is what triggered me, that as we look at where Grenadians are, it included the continent of Africa, understandable. But in terms of the definition of Grenadians, we have a new cadre of Grenadians that have been acquired through the Citizenship by Investment program. Are they part of the homecoming? Are they being marketed to as part of this homecoming engagement? And what role do you see them playing in this?
Absolutely. They are being engaged. As a matter of fact, earlier on this year, I was part of a delegation headed by the IMA office, CBI office, the Grenada Tourism Authority, and the Office of Diaspora Affairs. We went to Dubai, and our Consul General in Dubai, His Excellency Rahman, invited, I would say turned up about 250 CBI Grenadian citizens.
Okay.
And the numbers out there is close to about 1,000.
1,000 Grenadians?
Grenadians holding, yes, Grenadian passports, CBI Grenadians. And
we're just looking at, what, Dubai, UAE?
Yes, was just Dubai.
Okay.
And the interaction was extremely warm, welcoming. They're all excited about the decision that they have taken with respect to obtaining a Grenadian passport and investing in Grenada. And at the time, they were expressing that, yes, they would be all excited to come and visit during the homecoming and see Grenada again, enjoy its culture, its traditions, its warmth, and just enjoy. Now, that interest has been elevated. So we do expect quite a number of them visiting during the period of homecoming, and I guess they'll be looking at business opportunities, what other investments that they can make in Grenada, having Grenada maybe as a second home to be here for a couple of months during the year, look at probably doing other things other than what they have already done. So that engagement is really paying dividends at this point in time for Grenada, and it will continue to. Some of them even operate factories that can probably integrate into the business model in Grenada. And it's a matter now of IMA interacting with these CBI citizens and trying to make great economic benefit out of the engagement and out of their commitment to be a Grenadian citizen. So we're pleased about this, and homecoming would benefit from their visit.
Gail, does that make your work any more difficult? It's almost a different population.
Well, yes, yeah. I mean, the thing is that this process has been an integrative one, that we are working with collaborative partners within government agencies. So IMA is playing a big role in having that dialogue, doing that marketing work, engagement, because it's the community that they're focused on primarily. Right. So they've taken the lead primarily in that, but it means building a program that also has relevance to multiple markets, right, because all of them have different needs. So that has been one of the things we've worked on, particularly in the forum area. Yeah.
All right. Terry, there are a number of what I refer to as pillars that diaspora engagement or the office has been suggested to focus on. And just to list them, there's talk of diaspora engagement itself, there's diaspora investment and trade, there is human capital transfer, there's governance administration, there's remittances, there's philanthropy for social development. All areas that can be targeted for collaboration. Let's just look at investment and trade. What are your thoughts and that are areas, low-hanging fruits, that you would like to see engagement on, and hopefully we can have some good, strong conversations and bridges towards something materializing in short to medium term?
Okay, so we are working in partnership with the Ministry of Finance. We're working in partnership with the Grenada Industrial Development Corporation, in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce and the business community. In essence, there is a great opportunity for PPP investments, private partnership, private-public partnerships. And the government of Grenada has recognized that there are a large number of government-owned properties scattered all over the country that have been damaged as a result of the passage of Hurricane Ivan and Emily and more recently Beryl. And a lot of these properties, I can think of one in Birch Grove, just before you get to the bridge, what used to be the small police station. Right. Vine and trees growing all around it. So the idea of coming up with a public-private partnership undertaking is a very novel one, and one that can be of interest to our Grenadian citizens living abroad, even those locally. So government is now working on this partnership arrangement, and that information will be presented at the upcoming forum within the Diaspora Homecoming.
I'm hopeful. You went to Birch Grove because I know you're from Birch Grove, and so I hear the bias, right? I hear the bias.
They have them in St. Patrick too.
But if we are to come to St. George, is the Carnage part of that conversation? Is York House part of that conversation?
All over, wherever you go in Grenada, you can find some dilapidated structure. And it's sad that these structures have been allowed to get into this disrepair, state of disrepair. Yeah, I mean, what is sad is York House with big trees growing in there. It's a historical building, and that ought to had gotten repaired decades ago. But it is as it is. This government is embracing what needs to be done and doing it one at a time. So the public-private partnership undertaking, which this government is now reviewing and updating its policy on PPP, will look at all of these opportunities so that not just Grenadians living in the diaspora, but the business community in Grenada can make proposals to the government that we're going to fix this building, give us an undertaking legally that you will rent it back from us. This is the time period for us to recover our investment costs and make a profit. And thereafter, we sign the property back over to you. So it becomes government property once again. That is a great opportunity for the private sector to get involved in. And we're saying to Grenadians in the diaspora, this is an opportunity for you to engage government and look at these opportunities for your own personal upliftment and development.
Will Ambassador Forrester lobby for CBI funds to be used other than tourism and be utilized in instances like this? In other words, the library. Right?
Another
Go back to the Carnage. We boast about the most pictures, Horseshoe Harbor, but a lot of dilapidated buildings as you move from one area to the next. Is this something that, as ambassador, recognizing that they will now fall under your remit as new citizens and within the diaspora, is this a lobby that you see yourself making?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the process has started already in collaboration with the MIT ministry, in collaboration with P.S. Jessamy and her ministry, and the Minister of Economic Development, the Honorable Lennox Andrew. These conversations have already started some time ago, and the cataloging of all of these properties actually has commenced. It's not yet completed, but it's in the works, and the policy position of the government is being reviewed by the ministry at this point in time in order to sharpen it and to make it more palatable and to embracing that policy position for Grenadians abroad and those locally too. take advantage of.
Okay. And just before I go to the actual homecoming, I'd want to just touch a little bit on the human capital transfer. What does that mean? It's one of the pillars, as you would be identified in your website, but please, for audience, just define what that means.
Well, this is tremendous indeed. Grenada's greatest export over the last 50 years has been its people. We have exported a lot of our brains, and a lot of our brains are occupied in the health sector, in the education sector, construction, you name it. Grenadians are abroad and they are performing at optimum levels. If we can have this experience and these expertise come back to Grenada and share these skills and knowledge, it would revolutionize the way we do things in Grenada. Just a simple aspect of construction. As you know, we have always had issues with respect to finishing jobs and doing proper finishings in hotels and high-end properties. Many a times contractors have to send for workers abroad. Grenadians abroad are doing these kind of high-quality finishings. I met with one guy, he's right now in China purchasing materials. He works in, he does projects in Atlanta. And he plans to return to Grenada and set up a school simply to teach trade and how you finish properties properly. That kind of skill transfer will really make a major, major difference for the construction industry. So these are the kind of skills that we're looking at. And of course, the academic skills, be it in healthcare, be it in education, etc. That too will make a big difference for Grenada as we move forward.
How do you define Grenadian returning? Because we can't pay them. I mean, you know, these folks are earning 6 figures in US dollars, right? We can't pay them. So how do we define return, and how do we make it attractive enough so that there can be engagement without them having to give up their lives and livelihoods?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, they understand that Grenada would not be able to pay them the salary scale that they are enjoying out in the diaspora. But they do it because of the love and concern that they have for the motherland.
Terry,
and they want to make that contribution.
Terry, yes, but at the end of the day, you have to live.
Yes, but there is a big but.
Yes.
So presently, the concessions that they would obtain in returning to Grenada, for example, the entire household effects, once you reside in the diaspora for a minimum of 7 years, you are entitled for your entire household effects, refrigerator, cooker, TV, whatever you have. You can bring it back to, ship it back to Grenada duty-free. Now the thing is, you don't have to export used items. If you wish to purchase new items, you can do so. It must have a limit of 75,000 EC dollars. And you can ship all this back duty-free.
75,000 as a maximum?
As the maximum. Even if you buy a new cooker, new refrigerator, new AC, what have you. You can purchase those brand new, including your vehicle. You don't necessarily have to bring the used vehicle that you've been using because there's a 5-year limit. The port would not allow you to import vehicles 5 years and older. So you can purchase a new vehicle. If you decide to bring in an electric vehicle, you get 100% concession. If you intend to bring in a hybrid, then you get 75%. If you want to bring in a gasoline diesel, then it's 50% on the CET, CSE, VAT. And of course, if you want to ship in building materials, well, you want to build your home, what have you, you can do that, but you would have to pay the duties. What is important is that, and a lot of folks are now getting to understand, you can get 50% concession on the CET, CSC, and VAT on steel rods, cement, lumber, pure returning. You can obtain this.
Now, let me ask you this. Is that enough to ask someone to pick up roots? Because at the end of the day, we're not talking about retiree. And diaspora engagement I am thinking, is not only for those who have given all of their youthful lives and energy someplace else and coming back home to retire. We want them to be able to meaningfully contribute with energy and vigor here. Is that sufficient, one? And two, as Ambassador for Diaspora Affairs, how do you encourage and stimulate the local economy? Shouldn't someone returning have same access to those concessions by making purchases locally? Hence, the local businessman earns as opposed to buying outside and bringing it in.
Well, you see, you have to provide this opportunity for them to bring in their stuff duty-free. And then you piggyback on the fact that they be living here and naturally have day-to-day expenses. And they would engage in other opportunities, maybe investments, etc.
But my question is, I want to build a home. I can buy my things outside and get concessions. Or can go to the local. My argument for the local businessman is that I deliberately say Purcell, right? And I buy the lumber there, and I get concessions. So Purcell directly benefits from my returning home, not hoping that after I have returned home, I go to Purcell.
Yeah, but you see, as I've said, when you ship your building materials in a container, what have you, you have to pay your duties. The only items you get concessions on locally would be the 50% on the CET, CSE, and VAT on steel rods, cement, and lumber.
Yeah, but I'm talking about my refrigerator.
Yeah,
everything.
Well, okay.
So
well,
locally.
I mean, you are entitled to those concessions, so you take advantage of it. The refrigerator and cooker ain't gonna last you forever. So you would have to purchase, and then most likely, obviously, you'll purchase locally. But you have to provide, and this is just a small concession package that is being offered. We could take, for example, a young Grenadian professional who wants to return, 30, maybe 40 years old. You may need to now look at a different package for these individuals.
And that was the point.
Because they are giving up a great salary out there, although they are dedicated to return home and make a contribution, make a sacrifice to contribute to Grenada. But at the end of the day, dollars and cents dictates the pace. So new regime, new package of incentives may have to be developed in order to meet and to attract these individuals to return home, except they are excited to just return because that's what they want to do. Well, great, Grenada will take advantage of it.
Yes, but I have this saying, don't use my patriotism against me, right? Not because I'm patriotic, you ask me to give up so much. And maybe there is more that we can do by way of collaboration to attract in this younger cadre of professionals, one, and in a manner that local businesses are able to benefit as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think if we can add to it, it's the return home isn't always a full-time return. And people have an appreciation. We live in a global world now. People, movement is much easier. I can't say necessarily more cost effective because that's changing, but certainly the movement of people is easier to do. People want the flexibility to be able to reside in one place and also reside in another. And businesses are conducted across borders now. We're not limited or constrained by boundaries of land and everything else. So people will work here for 6 months. They may work virtually so they can spend time.
And our telecom infrastructure is strong.
It's very strong.
And hence that actually provides an opportunity.
It provides that opportunity. So people want the flexibility to be able to exist in more than one location. That if they have the flexibility of, and we're not always talking about big homes and luxurious things. People just want a simple life. And if they can have the capacity where they can be in Grenada 6 months and be somewhere else another 3 months and somewhere else another. We have global villages, and I think people want that flexibility in life. We've seen that with particularly the younger set, where they have a new term, digital nomads, where they work virtually and they're raising their families, moving from country to country to country. And I think that is an increasing thing that we're going to see amongst amongst our younger demographic.
Okay.
But that is happening presently as we speak.
Yeah.
You know? It is happening. The demographic before, which were retirees, there are younger people now engaging in doing just exactly that.
All right. And the question is, how are we going to encourage more of them to come back, live their full lives, and live here, work from here, and therefore contribute to the economy in that way?
What is happening now is that, as was expressed earlier on, we're having more and more engagement with Grenadians of all walks of life via town hall sessions, via Zoom, be it in Toronto, New York, London, all over the world. And this is now growing. It's picking up momentum. So if we can have, every month we do Canada, another month we do New York, London, etc., etc. Trinidad, don't forget Trinidad and Tobago. We probably have close to 100,000 Grenadians down there. They've been going there since forever. So once we can engage, and we do have representation down there. We have a Consul General. There's an Grenada office in Trinidad. So we are engaging the Trinidadian, the Grenadian Trinidadian in Trinidad. And we're making progress with them.
Gail, as we come to the actual homecoming, the conversation that we're wrapping up is one of listening to the diaspora.
Yes.
So tell us, what are the plans to start off listening to the diaspora?
You know, it's interesting because, you know, looking at the program, there was a lot of us sharing information and I think talking. And one of the ways to do that would, the conference itself, the program is a 2-week program, but what we consider the highlight or the meat of the matter is really the 3-day forum, which is an opportunity for us to dialogue with, share information, because there's a lot of critical information that has to come from this side to that side, in other words. But it's also engaging the diaspora both locally, because I made mention of the local population that still considers themselves, and they have insight into having had some experience being back. They still have questions, they still have wants, they still have unanswered things, they still have needs that they think are not addressed. So it's incorporating that population segment into the discussion, whether as a facilitator for a forum, because then they will be able to interject and ask the types of questions from those in the know, to be able to evoke the answers that they know that their community wants to hear. So we are making an effort to ensure that we have some balance in both our panelists and our facilitators, who are going to be the moderators, who are going to be on the panels and extracting that information. And there's the wrap-up session, or the final session, is intended to be a complete opportunity for them to share, for the community to share, and to have more of a roundtable discussion where it's going to be a facilitated session, but the members and participants will be able to talk about some of the issues that have arisen, some of the concerns they may have, some of the things and aspirations they want, because it's not all about problems. I think there's a lot of, and Ambassador referenced that, there's a lot of information out there that can be shared to help with the development and growth. And I think it's giving that forum and giving an outlet for that type of discussion.
Okay. If we just zone in, so let's talk about week one. The theme I saw for week one is celebrating identity, heritage, community. How does the Secretariat see week one unfolding?
So week one is really reconnecting. It's bringing yourself back, getting to see and experience a lot of things that you see when you're away, and you think that looks fantastic, or you want an opportunity to do that. So we've taken, it's more of like a cultural immersion back into the community, reconnecting with your roots, finding out and experiencing. So you can say it's more entertainment based, and it would take you through, we start off the week with a church service of Thanksgiving as usual. That is in normal Grenadian fashion, and that is an opportunity for people to reconnect, worship together, and and give thanks and praise for the opportunity that.
And this is throughout the length and breadth of the state?
Well, we will have one major service that will be represented. That is happening at Gateway Assembly on the 21st on Sunday. So that's 9 a.m. And we anticipate people will start to arrive because people's arrival time varies. It's deliberately spans 2 weeks because it gives people flexibility. If you have the luxury of time and you can do the 2 weeks, you can come for 2 weeks of entertainment plus business. If you don't have as much time and you want to hone in on what is the key meat of the matter, then you can focus on that. So we give people an opportunity to have a little bit of both. Then first day is kind of a late day registration, and then we're heading to Carriacou, because Carriacou and Petit Martinique are part of the state of Grenada. So many people, I think, surprisingly, have never been to Carriacou. Especially if you left Grenada a long time ago. People have, and so people are discovering Carriacou for the first time through the eyes of social media, through all of the wonderful things like Lobster and Lambie Fest and things that have just recently been introduced, all of the regattas and all of that. So there's an interest, I think an increased interest in Carriacou, and rightfully so. It's beautiful. It's the best place to relax. I think it's one of the best secrets of the Caribbean. So there's a day excursion to Carriacou. You can do that. You can choose to stay overnight, or you can come back the same day. But Carriacou has a full itinerary of activities lined up, where you can do a bus tour, get to see some of the main spots in Carriacou. You can take a water taxi tour, which will take you over to Petit Martinique, spend some time there, and they will also have an expo activity on Paradise Beach area. So there's a full day of activity there, and Osprey has put on a special fair for that purpose, and also the timing is a little bit longer, so you'd have a little bit more time. You can spend time in Carriacou. Yes, you can spend time. You can't just land and turn around. So that's Carriacou. And then on that same day, we also have an activity happening on land, which is a give back activity, which is Read Across Grenada. It's an activity that takes place annually, but they've built it into this period purposefully so that more people can participate. So if you choose not to go to Carriacou, you can take part and visit the schools and do a reading with the school sessions. I did it one year, and I don't know, I loved it. It just brought me back to being, I think it brought out a side of me I didn't even know I had. So it's a good experience. I'd encourage anybody to do it. On the Thursday and Friday, which is the 25th and 26th, we have day excursions on mainland. So that's going to take you through an opportunity to see some of the new projects that are happening, sights and sounds of Grenada, different spots, and that's going to take you have an opportunity to do it on either day, the Thursday, Friday, or both days if you so choose. And then we start getting into some of the cultural activities. So on Saturday, TAMCC is they're launching their foundation, so they'll be hosting a brunch and lunch activity hosted by that group. And Jefferson Ramirez, of course, we know Jefferson Live in Concert will be on that Saturday evening. And Flavors in the Forest will take place from 6 a.m. on that Saturday right through to 10 p.m. So it's a full day of activity. And they always put on a very nice event, and we can trust that you will have from culture to food to entertainment, everything taking place up in Granatang. So you can touch there, you can go by TAMCC, you can get to Jefferson in the evening. And the thing is about the events are not limited to people coming in for homecoming. We expect the community to participate, because it's about engaging community back with people who are coming to visit. So it's not just specific events only for Diaspora Homecoming that if you have for Grenadians. It's for Grenadians, and we are all Grenadians together. Sunday, one of the key things that is a key pillar from the Prime Minister as well is the spice replanting. I think it's one of the things initially when the new administration came in that he was very focused on. So we're using this opportunity for everybody to kick it off again, that because it's open again beyond diaspora returnees, that the spice replanting initiative is going to take place in a variety of locations throughout Grenada. And you can take part in that too, as we rebuild and retain and maintain our name as the Isle of Spice. So everyone should be willing and interested and patriotic to want to take part in something like that. Mount Morris Breakfast is on. They'll be there. We know what that's about. I think everybody will enjoy themselves. And on that Sunday, we have Rhythm and Spice. That's a Rotary Club event, which will be taking place. So if you're not here all the way through Carnival, you get a taste of Carnival with that. Also balanced with Weepan Fest. So you get a lot of Carnival on that Sunday between the two events and activities. And that gives everybody a taste of what's to come for Spice Mass. So that's week one.
Week one. Okay. And week one is really one of cultural immersion and reconnecting with your roots, reconnecting with your fellow Grenadians, as it were, in a less pressured social type of environment.
That's right. And that's the intention, so that it's a little bit of, as we say, reconnect, celebrate, and collaborate. So those are the three pillars taking us through. The Monday is Gual's
So let's take our final break, and then when we return, we'll deal with week two. All right, so we get down to business. So viewers and listeners, we'll get down to the business of week two when we return after this break.
Life doesn't stand still. It moves. It grows. It asks you to believe in what's next. Your first car. Owning your home. The business you build. The future you choose to invest in. Life moves in steps. When you're ready to take the next one, we're here to help you move forward with banking solutions designed for life. From vehicle financing and mortgages to education savings, credit solutions, and support for your growing business. Republic Bank, ready for life, every step.
In our part of the world, we need to be prepared for natural disasters like storms and hurricanes, even outside of the season. I'm sure you'll agree that keeping our loved ones, homes, and businesses safe is important. So, I came up with a few quick tips to help you stay safe. First, make a family disaster plan and ensure that everyone in your household is familiar and comfortable with it. Remember to add batteries and flashlights to your emergency kit. Now, for electrical safety. Familiarize yourself with your electrical panel, as it may be necessary to switch off the power during a storm or flood. Make sure you install a transfer or isolation switch to prevent your generator feeding electricity to Grenlec's line. If trees are too close to power lines, call Grenlec at 237 for advice. By following these easy steps, you will be well on your way to being hurricane ready. Don't be caught off guard by natural disasters. Prepare now. For more information, visit grenlec.com.
At 5 p.m. on August 5th, 1944, the schooner Island Queen sailed out of the St. George's Harbor. On board were some of Grenada's brightest and best sons and daughters. What happened afterwards remains a mystery.
Where Island Queen gone?
Heritage Theatre Company presents Lucy's Straw Hat, a full-length drama written and directed by Chris DeRiggs, a moving story about a family caught up in the drama of this great mystery. Meet Mammy Sylvie, a woman with a secret too heavy to keep but too painful to reveal.
I'm asking for forgiveness for not telling you the truth.
Pa John, the war veteran.
Sometimes I sit here feeling so helpless, so crushed.
Hyacinth, always ready to do mischief.
You don't see the woman Uncle Norris married. She face ugly enough to turn milk.
Lucy, beautiful and headstrong.
I had a dream, Mommy, that Hyacinth was there, holding my hand.
Lucy's Straw Hat at Grenada Trade Center on Saturday 13th and Sunday 14th June, and at the Luke Cinema on Saturday 20th and Sunday 21st June. All shows 7 p.m. Advance tickets $60, $75 at the door. Come join us.
Where Island Queen Lawn.
Looking for the perfect pre-carnival fete? Then get ready for Rhythm and Spice, a Rotary brunch experience happening Sunday, June 28th from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Quarantine Point Recreational Park. Enjoy an afternoon of bold flavors, vibrant rhythms, and unforgettable vibes featuring Sakina and the Alpha One Band, plus guest artists and DJs. Early bird tickets are just $200 and available now on GoToFet.com. Dress code Brunch Chic, Island Elegance with Spice-inspired tones. Hosted by the Rotary Club of Grenada. Proceeds support Rotary Community Projects. Rhythm and Spice, Sunday, June 28th, Quarantine Point Recreational Park. Sip, savor, socialize, support.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. We're happy to have you back, and we're talking the diaspora homecoming. You certainly can weigh in, share your views, ask your questions. 440-1252, that's the number to call. All right? Gail, week 2. The theme we're seeing is a pathway to Vision 75. That's how week 2 is tagged. How do we anticipate that unfolding?
Well, we're opening up the forum. The 3-day forum takes place from June 30th to July 2nd. It's going to kick off with Prime Minister's presentation of Vision 75, and that is, where do we see Grenada on its 75th anniversary of independence? What is the vision? What's the track? What's the pathway that we're headed to? After his presentation, it will give an opportunity to break out the discussion into the key pillars. We're going to be looking at health. We're going to be looking at education and skills development. We're going to be looking at energy, and you know, what's happening in that sector. And of course, housing is one of the major things that's going to be happening. So we'll break that out and have that discussion so that communities in the diaspora can have a clear understanding and have the opportunity to interact and engage directly with policymakers and change makers, as it is right now, as to where Grenada's vision is for the future and how they play a role in that vision going forward.
Right.
I think that is definitely, it's a key and important opportunity for discussion that's going to happen during that first morning session on there. And from after that, one of the other things that, and we've hinted to it, is talking about the pathways to investment. So how do people play a role in the diaspora in investing in Grenada? And that role of investment can be twofold. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be living here and residing here, but you can be providing opportunities or avenues for distribution, you know, working along with individuals, companies, businesses, if you have connections outside. So when we say the diaspora participating in Grenada's development, it doesn't always necessarily mean coming back and living on the soil. It means having that connection that is beneficial for both sides.
Okay.
So
we have a caller now, so let's see that caller. Good evening, caller. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. I'm enjoying your program, and I am looking forward to the diaspora taking more part in Grenada's development, including from their tourism, which sometimes is better than the so-called foreign tourism based on where they spend their dollars when they come. And I think on the issue of investment, rather than just building homes, etc., it would be nice to see them invest more in the development. So, for example, why don't some diaspora persons from St. David's start building a little town in St. David's? That would be nice to see. Just a mall, in St. David's, and that sort of investment that normally we see foreigners doing. I'm not saying foreigners, I mean foreigners doing. Would be nice to see some of our local Grenadians doing that. Right? That's one item, and I look forward to that. Now, my other issue is a concern, although it's not being addressed here, right? And I don't want to get in trouble with the politicians or anybody else, in particular with my diaspora people who I have a lot of relatives, right? But we had a situation where several years ago, right? One political party encouraged diaspora people to come to Grenada and vote, even organize flights. Some of them free. I personally know people who came to Grenada free, in particular in Carriacou, who came for elections to vote. And that happened. Today, one party, the same party, is saying that is not wrong. Now, I don't know if that is wrong and right from the legal perspective. But I have a concern, and you might even want to call it a warning, which I have not heard discussed relating to this diaspora. Would it, and I'm asking a question to your two hosts, would it be to the advantage of our local population living in Grenada if, say, 30,000 overseas citizens or Grenadians who do not live in Grenada come and vote in the elections for one party or the other? So I'm not going party-wise now. So that is one scenario. The second scenario is if the persons who have purchased passports, that's the economic citizenship passports, and I am told the numbers are probably more than 18,000. So if 10,000 of them were to come back to Grenada to vote, either for a particular party or another party, the fact that both our diaspora who doesn't live here and the majority of the citizens by investment who don't live here either and don't pay taxes here and are not affected by direct government policy, if they come to Grenada and vote, they can decide what party wins an election. That's just a fact of life. Mm-hmm. Now, would that be fair to us, the local citizens? My view is no, it won't be fair. It won't be fair to the persons who, based on that, would either have to be paying taxes here, or it could change our local policy and affect those living here.
Okay. All right. I think we got the point. So let me just get our panelists to weigh in. Gail, we'll start off with Ambassador Forrester. And your thoughts?
The caller has a very interesting point. The fact is, it is very rare that you would find 10,000 people collaborating together to come to Grenada for such a purpose. That's one. The laws governing our electoral system would prevent this from happening because you have to be resident in Grenada for a period of time. Subject to correction, I think you had to be living here for at least 6 months. 6 or 12 months.
Yeah, the Commonwealth citizen, resident, 12 months prior is the law. But you actually should be resident in Grenada. And if your permanent residence is not Grenada, then you ought not be qualified. But we have another caller.
It's a straight case.
Good evening, caller. Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon. A very interesting program. But I want to ask this question, because I don't know if I missed it or if it was said before and I wasn't yet here. Is there any plans to get the diaspora involved in purchasing bonds, Grenadian bonds? Because I believe when we're talking investment need not be only in the view of people coming to Grenada and setting up businesses. But I think one of the things that the government needs to be doing is to put a lot of bonds out on projects like the hospital project, like the fish processing project, I understand there is some talk about garbage processing plant. These are some of the ideas that when the government conceptualize these things, they need to start putting out offers of bonds when these things become actual plans, so that members of the participate in helping to build this country through purchasing bonds.
Okay.
And not just local people alone, being offered bonds.
Got the point?
Now, the caller is absolutely correct, and this is not the first time our diasporas have been given the opportunity to invest in government bonds. The Point Saline International Airport is a destination very, very clear. The PRG government raised a lot of money through bonds, and there have always been bond offers to the diaspora. But I think what the caller is emphasizing now is that we need to identify developmental projects and say, we would like you to invest in these projects, and this is the return that you will get on your investment, and go straight out to the Grenadians living in the diaspora and encourage them to invest in their country in an economic development project that bring benefits to the nation.
Right. And actually that's what I was hearing from the first caller as well, when he spoke about the people from St. David, because it ought to be that there is a slew of developmental projects that have been identified, and people not coming in randomly and say, I want to do this, I want to do that, because it must be part of a vision that we're delivering on. But I believe we have another caller, so let's take that caller and come back.
All right, okay.
Go ahead, caller.
Take that caller.
Yes. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah, this diaspora you're all talking about, right? That's probably the old NDC had a ministry of diaspora affairs. The ministry was on A.J. Blaze Street. So this idea that they're talking about is not a new idea. We had a whole ministry. And as a matter of fact, I remember too, because I speak in my capacity as a foundation member of the National Democratic Congress, so I know what I'm talking about. I remember also there was a proposal that we would have a senator for diaspora affairs. And also earlier on, in I think between 1990 and 1991, I remember we had a day for diaspora affairs, and we brought back the ambassadors, but it was just one day. So I'm very happy that all we can capitalize on it and have for 2 weeks. Because it's a good idea. Let them come back and see what they could do for Grenadians. But it's not a new idea. We started that diaspora, contemplating with the diaspora and with the people and all this interaction. We on the old NDC started that since, I would say, in George Brizard's days, but really between Peter David was the minister of Foreign Affairs, and we capitalized on that. So I'm glad that it's a continuity of the idea that we started, but it's a very good idea. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Colin. And that was acknowledged previously.
Yeah. Precisely, this is what I'm saying. It's just a new emphasis being put on this thrust of getting the diaspora more engaged and involved in national development.
Yeah. You also had a point that you were making when we were talking about just having this slew of developmental projects that is a menu, a la carte, that that people from the diaspora and others can participate in national development.
Right, but on the whole question of bond issues, the GIDC is working very, very strongly now with respect to developing projects which can attract overseas investments through bond issuances in partnership with the government of Grenada. Okay. So it is nothing new. We just need to market it and promote it and encourage Grenadians to invest. And there are a lot of Grenadians out there who are very wealthy, and they would love to invest in a project in Grenada that can bring benefit to the nation and its people.
And this forum gives us an opportunity to test the appetite for it.
And we're moving to day 2.
Yeah.
Because day 1 is Vision 75, where, as you shared, Prime Minister will say this is the direction that Grenada ought to be going as we move towards our 75th anniversary of independence. What is day 2 is more business-like?
Well, day 2, the other half of day 1 continues the pathways to investment. So it gets into all of these things that we were just speaking about, the bond discussion, and I think the prevailing point is that not everybody wants to come back and start a business. Right. Sometimes you just have some extra money you want to invest in something and leave it and let it grow and see where it goes, and you play your part in that way. And day 2 actually just takes you into the return home. How do you start your process if you want to return home or if you want to live in both places, have the best of both worlds? We had a lot of discussion earlier with the ambassador about concessions and things like that. It's a big question. It's a big query that people have outside there. We'll have somebody from the head of concession being able to tell you the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts, and what you're in fact entitled to. And financing, banking, somebody to address the whole banking system. How do you set your account back up? How do you get how do you operate financially in this space now? Because we know that there are regulations. People always say, you have to give your unborn child to open a bank account. Understanding that, navigating that, are you looking at investing in property again? What are the issues that you have to deal with? Purchasing land, leasing land, constructing buildings, not constructing. Are you going to rent? All of these kind of things is the navigating of that process when you start to make the decisions and start to have discussions about returning home. So that's a big session that we're going to have there. In each of both of the days, we're going to have an opportunity to break out into breakout sessions where people can get more in-depth information. We're inviting the Bar Association to navigate some of the legal implications of coming back. People have challenges when they come back and they engage with legal professionals and they think that they're taking too long, or I paid my money and I'm not getting my understanding. And I think a lot of it is just because we do not have the information and we don't understand. So this is really an opportunity to ask the questions, ask the critical questions, get the information, and figure out where we go from there. On day 3, we're going into the professional exchange, where we're going to focus on two of the pillars, the health field and creative industries. Okay. Because creative is growing for us in terms of a market, and we've done a lot of work in the creative arts, and also health is top of mind right now with Project Polaris coming on. So we will have some in-depth discussions on how can we bridge that gap across borders. We have some health professionals, Grenadians living abroad, who are doing some interesting things in medicine, and that can be how can that be translated to serve the Grenadian community, and what are our needs from the Grenadian community out to the diaspora, and how can we connect the two. So that's going to be a very interesting session. For the creative industry, what are the paths that you won't have to navigate to get your opportunities for locally living here, and building from the experiences of people we have out in the diaspora who are doing great things. Okay. So we have some interesting people coming for that. We expect Aisha Hines, who will be here to participate in that panel. Aisha's on 911.
Right.
And she had a fabulous wedding here at Silver Sands, so we expect her to be present here. And we have some other interesting people that we're waiting to get confirmation on who will be participating.
Okay, excellent. How do we foster a harmonious relationship between the diaspora and the resident Grenadians? How do we ensure that there is good, meaningful dialogue, there's good understanding between the two populations, and we welcome home individuals from the diaspora?
Well, as it is right now, Colin, Grenadians living in the diaspora, returning to Grenada, they're coming back to their family and friends. Essentially, we need to continue the dialogue, we need to continue education, and we need to say to both those who are living on the mainland, Carriacou, Petite Martinique. These are our sons and daughters. These are our families. These are our cousins, uncles, etc., returning home with skills, talent, resources, etc. Let us work together, collaborate together in the interest of developing Grenada.
We can say it, yes. Operationalizing is where I'm going. But let me just take one step further. How do we engage the diaspora to collaborate with local businesses? And Gail alluded to it earlier on. Economies of scale, because we're small geographically. We have good quality. I can go to our cocoa, I can go to our nutmegs. But how do we partner with the diaspora in order to expand those industries? Whether it's by setting up operations outside of Grenada, we may have to share the formula, but we're still able to do it. How do we do that?
Well, you see, as I indicated, they're coming back with skills, talent, resources, and integrating with the business community provides a perfect platform for this great collaboration. They can say to the local businessman, I have partners out there, I have contacts out there, I have clients out there, I have a market out there. Let us work together. I bring my skills, my talent, and resources to invest in your business, to help expand your business so we can expand the local market and at the same time produce excess for the export market. I think it's a great marriage that is about to take place, and Diaspora Homecoming is providing that platform for dialogue.
Two questions before I ask you for your final comments. How do we protect the Grenadian population from bad actors? And how do we protect our folks in the diaspora from things like double taxation if they're earning here through those investments? So local population, resident population from the bad actors who undoubtedly would join the motorcade or air brigade to come in. And those coming in, if they're living and working outside, you don't want them to go through a double taxation because it would be a disincentive. So how do we tackle both situations?
Well, the fact of the matter is that you would have bad actors no matter what part of the world you go. We have to continue spreading the word that Grenada is this place of peace and tranquility, and ensure that our laws are respected, and educate the population, educate the Grenadians returning home from the diaspora that this is the way things are done in Grenada. Respect the laws, these are the laws of the land, and we expect you to comply appropriately. Of course, local Grenadians will do likewise, but you will always find bad actors no matter where you go.
And how the Office of Diaspora Affairs envisions guarding against the double taxation, because I don't know how our laws address that. I know, for example, in the U.S., the first $80,000 made outside of the U.S. is exempted or thereabouts. You know, how do we encourage them to invest and earn here, recognize they may be earning elsewhere?
Subject to correction, I don't think we have the double taxation treaty, but this is a matter that we need to look closely into to provide economic protection for our Grenadians investing in Grenada and not get double taxed. So that is something, obviously, that has to be looked into. And the government of Grenada, Ministry of Finance, in my opinion, would want to take the time off quickly to really get into the meat of this. Because you may very well, in the next 4 weeks, have Grenadians who say, look, I want to invest, but how do I get protected from not being double taxed in Grenada and also in the United States?
Right. Okay. Gail, final comments. Homecoming, so speak to us, because our viewership is not only resident Grenadians.
Of course, we know.
We're
actually,
across the diaspora as well.
Yeah, and they're the ones watching more.
Right.
I would encourage them to log on to our website, register, book your flights, book your hotels, and see you here from June 21st right through to July 5th. Lots to do, lots to learn, and I think we learning on both sides, because it's a dialogue. It's collaboration. I think at the end of it all, it's collaboration, and the only way we can do that is to sit around the table and have the conversation and see where it takes us, because this is a first initiative. We don't expect to get it all right the first time around, but we expect to start somewhere, because if you don't ever start, you can't get better. So we looking at, this is the first time we're heading out the door with this in I think a very big way. I have a lot of hope for the forum in terms of the output. I think we will get a lot out of it. I think people will be satisfied in terms of their participation. But you need to be here to participate. You need to be here, register, log on, book your flight. Grenada is open for business, as they say, and I think it will be a great session. We have, and on top of it all, because we haven't wrapped up all the events yet, we do have a gala event on the Friday night after the forum, so the Governor General will be the patron for that event, so definitely an opportunity to come out, dress up in your nice dandan. I know everybody enjoys that. And Saturday we have Coconut Fest in St. Mark, we have Salaka in Tivoli, and I'm sure a host of something else that I'm missing on that day. But a lot of, St. George Northeast is having an event as well, an expo event. So also Heritage Theatre is putting on a special staging of Lucy Straw Hat during this period. So there's so much to do. So much for you to participate in, and I think a lot of benefit to be had for
The only thing I didn't hear you say is that they need to book a vacation after this tour.
Yeah, I think that's going to be necessary. So book 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks off, because you'll need the extra week to recover.
All right. Ambassador Forrester?
Thank you very much. I just want to take this opportunity to remind Grenadians, while we get the emphasis on our diaspora citizens living abroad, this also is for you. As Grenadians living on Grenada, Carriacou, Petite Martinique. And we want you to also equally participate in all of the events. But in closing, I want to take this opportunity to thank the great team that I have. Gail is doing a wonderful job with the Secretariat. I have the my deputy chairman, Randall Dolan, who is the chairman of the Grenada Tourism Authority, and Jackie from the National Celebrations Committee, Sarah, and several others, a lot of government, public servants, permanent secretaries throughout the system, and others. A big team all working together, and I'm very grateful and thankful for the support and the assistance that they are providing in making this event a memorable one. It's going to be fantastic. Homecoming.
Ambassador Terry Forrester, Mrs. Gail Purcell, thank you both for coming and sharing. And to you, ladies and gentlemen, not only for sharing a part of your Monday evening with us, but for the engagement we envision you will have as we welcome home our citizens and foster a way of greater collaboration, greater partnership to all of our benefits. My name is Colin Dowe, and I look forward to being with you again in the next 6 days, 22 and a half hours. Take care.